Morning, my name is Josh from Cyclones Oz, and we've got a detailed forecast update on the rainfall that is inbound across much of Queensland, a tropical low or cyclone possible offshore from northwestern WA, and just a general uptick in rainfall and moisture that's going to be surging in towards northern Queensland and parts of the Northern Territory in the next 2 weeks. If you are brand new to my channel, please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. But let's get stuck straight into things today with the immediate weather situation over in southeast Queensland. We've had a multiple day outbreak of thunderstorms, nothing crazy albeit, but we have had a couple of days of thunderstorms previously, and that's expected to continue today and towards southeast Queensland, with a few thunderstorms and potentially a severe thunderstorm or two possible over the Scenic Rim and into the Lockyer Valley later this afternoon. We're not expecting anything crazy to develop. It's a pretty stock standard setup for much of southeastern Queensland, but it looks like it is going to be more of a shower-based type rainfall event here. So when we're going to see these showers develop in the later afternoon and evening into parts of southeast Queensland, we may see one or two thunderstorms develop into this red circle here up to Kingaroy. So the forecast models are not calling for anything serious or crazy, and definitely nothing in the way of a severe thunderstorm outbreak is expected across southeast Queensland. But as we do see at this time of the year, when a couple of showers move in with this moisture that's coming in off the southern parts of the Coral Sea and the Pacific Ocean into southeast Queensland, this is going to spark a few thunderstorms potentially over to some of the mountain ranges across southeastern Queensland and into northeastern New South Wales. Conditions really aren't favourable for severe thunderstorms, and you can see convective available potential energy values, which is the instability in the environment, is absolutely appalling later this afternoon over the Wivenhoe outlook, which is some of the biggest numbers that I can find, values here around 500, and that's just because the temperatures are not going to get that warm into the Brisbane area today. To see severe thunderstorms in Brisbane or Ipswich would need to get temperatures up around the 32 or 33 degree mark, and they're not going to get anywhere near that, and that is why we're not expecting a widespread outbreak of severe thunderstorm activity. But we will see one or two storms, but in particularly showers. What we're going to be seeing today is sporadic showers moving in quite a slow moving fashion later this afternoon and this evening from the Pacific Ocean, and this is going to present the risk of some heavier rainfall accumulations in one or two spots. Now, these showers are going to be slow moving. They're going to carry some of that heavy rainfall, but they'll also be very sporadic in nature, which means only a few places are going to pick up that serious rainfall accumulations. And by serious, I mean serious considering the time of the year. We're obviously not talking about tropical rainfall or North Queensland style rainfall. It's going to be somewhere between that 0 to 25 millimetre range. Now, I know how frustrating it is to see a number forecast like that on the official forecast, seeing anywhere between 0 to 25 millimetres. Like, is it going to just sprinkle today, or is it going to absolutely bucket down? Do I need to cancel all of my plans? But truth be told, we really don't know, because it is very much dependent on if showers make it over your location. If they don't, obviously you'll see nothing. If they do, because they'll be slow moving and quite heavy in nature, particularly over the Springbrook area and into the Nerang area through the Gold Coast and through some of the hilly areas into the northeast of New South Wales. Basically anywhere in this red circle, it's where showers are more likely to occur. You could be seeing closer to that 25 or 30 millimetre mark. So very much dependent on where these showers do continue to move in. The convective forecast modelling is suggesting this to be more kind of a immediate, very much immediate southeastern Queensland shower kind of risk here, with a few showers or a few heavier showers expected into the hills outside of the Gold Coast, through the Gold Coast hinterland, then again, like I said, out into the Scenic Rim and then through the Lockyer Valley and into the Wivenhoe outlook. Brisbane is also looking pretty likely to see some of these heavier showers as well. I find the convective forecast models, particularly on the rainfall accumulation side of things, normally nail where the spread of rainfall is going to occur, and you can see some of the more denser greens and yellows occur a little bit further away from the coastline, as mentioned, into the Lockyer Valley, through parts of the Scenic Rim and then down to the New South Wales Queensland border, and then across in towards New South Wales through some of the hills and mountains around New South Wales, with the lighter rainfall accumulations expected immediately north of the Gold Coast through Redland City and then up into the Moreton Bay area, including Caboolture, and then up towards Maroochydore, and then anywhere further north of Maroochydore inland to Toowoomba is not expecting anything in the way of shower or rainfall activity throughout the course of today. Brisbane could be a bit of a wild card, and I do think that there might be some heavier pockets of rainfall into the Samford Valley, but let's be honest, we're going into far too much detail for what is essentially just a couple of showers coming through today. Looking further ahead for Brisbane and southeast Queensland, a few thunderstorms are going to build, particularly later on into the week. We may see some or return to severe thunderstorm activity, particularly further inland on Friday, with a bit of a mean severe thunderstorm outbreak expected towards the west of Roma, particularly out around south of Charleville down to Wyandra and Cunnamulla, and then pushing things forward out to Saturday. We're going to be seeing these thunderstorms pushing towards southeastern Queensland, and they could get quite strong around the Goondiwindi, Chinchilla, Roma, and then out towards Toowoomba and Warwick through early Sunday afternoon and evening. Brisbane and the Gold Coast look like they miss out on this. We may see an upscaled version of severe thunderstorms, including one or two squall lines moving into the Brisbane or the Gold Coast area through southeast Queensland later on Saturday night. But truth be told, details are still rather murky on this, and we've seen some pretty big flip-flops in the forecast over the last couple of days, so I'm going to refrain from making a proper forecast for this weekend at just now for southeast Queensland. These thunderstorms on Saturday will then tend to rainfall at times on Sunday, and we're expecting a corridor of moisture to pull in from northwestern Queensland Queensland. I'll zoom out in just a second, but some decent rainfall accumulations are possible anywhere between these red lines, a ballpark between 5 to 25 millimetres, and these falls will progressively get heavier if thunderstorms develop, which is looking possible now through northeastern New South Wales and immediate southeastern Queensland into Toowoomba or inland to Toowoomba and Warwick and north to Maroochydore, and that includes Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and particularly the Gold Coast hinterland. Some decent rainfall accumulations could be a possibility there. Like I said, falls between 5 to 25 millimetres and scattered rainfall accumulations to 50 millimetres now a possibility on Sunday, before on Monday this rainfall pulls away from southeastern Queensland. This is when the forecast gets very interesting. I'll come back to southeastern Queensland in just a second because we might have a proper rain-making event on the cards there. But by extension on Saturday and Sunday, or especially on Sunday, we're expecting lots of thunderstorm activity through western Queensland, and then pushing that in towards Sunday, we've got plenty of shower and thunderstorm activity also expected through parts of north central Queensland, so inland from Charters Towers, Huendon, Longreach, Jericho, and then out towards Mount Isa. Strong outback thunderstorms expected the further west you go. We may be seeing, again, some half-decent rainfall accumulations developing as a result. Now, what is going to be happening into the third week of November? Well, truth be told, details are still very, very murky at this point in time, but major forecast modelling is suggesting either a long cloud band or low pressure system to develop over in towards the Northern Territory, and then that will track through parts of Queensland and around it bring some widespread decent rainfall accumulations, or we may see this low pressure system skip Queensland altogether and develop out somewhere into the Coral Sea. Now, if it does develop out into the Coral Sea, it's not going to be tropical low or tropical cyclone based in nature, but it will provide a lot of rainfall to parts of the Queensland coastline, particularly for parts of southeastern Queensland, which is looking like it could be a possibility now with this low pressure system developing somewhere between the 20th out to the 25th of November. And you can see this rainfall here very, very steady for southeast Queensland out of the southeast, and a 4 or 5 day block of heavy to locally intense rainfall accumulations is a possibility now on the eastern weather forecast modelling. Maximum rainfall accumulations that I'm seeing now on the forecast modelling suggest falls around the 200 millimetre mark, but again, this is something to be taken with a very heavy pinch of salt. This is not something that is an old feature on the forecast models. This is actually very, very new. But for the Sunshine Coast, this could paint a pretty wet picture sometime between the 20th out to the 25th of November. I'm not putting much money on this because the way that the forecast model has actually been shaping up over the last couple of weeks is with this low pressure system developing over somewhere in central Queensland, which will bring, like I said, kind of a parallel line type train of rainfall to parts of central and southeastern Queensland. And we'll be seeing falls somewhere between that 25 to 50 millimetre mark, or we'll see this low pressure system develop out into the Coral Sea, where for the most part it will head out to sea, pushed along by the jet stream, but it will funnel a few heavy showers ashore for a brief period of time through parts of the Capricornia coastline, and then into the north and the far north Queensland coastline as well over the course of about 2 or 3 days. And coastal rainfall accumulation south to Bundaberg will be between 25 to 75 millimetres. Again, nothing to be concerned about. I really don't think we're going to see option 3, which is that low pressure system or southeasterly flow developing. I really don't think that this is going to be a possibility at all. So what I can say safely right now is that there is some rainfall coming sometime between the 17th out to the 24th of November. There's going to be an uptick in rainfall across Queensland during that time period, but it's likely to come from either option 1 or option 2 out here. It's going to be a low pressure system originating rainfall, so we're going to be seeing that train of rainfall developing across a period of time. It's not going to result in torrential rainfall, and it is something that I feel could make the news in some small way over the next couple of days. Seeing this torrential rainfall on the forecast models generally spikes a lot of interest for rainfall across Queensland, in particular because that this is the first real solid rainfall signals that we're seeing for this northern wet season across a wide swathe of Queensland. But I don't think there's anything to be worried about, and a lot of these places here, they could really do with 25 to 75 millimetres, so again, we're not talking about a flooding concern here. It just gives that really healthy rainfall accumulations that's now on the forecast. Definitely a feature to watch though. We've got some pretty serious falls across New South Wales and Victoria as well on the GFS forecast modelling here, and that's been a feature on the eastern weather forecast for the last couple of days as well. And what this is going to come through is a series of low pressure system activity, or a bit of strong low pressure system activity, as mentioned, originating through parts of Queensland and then dragging down into the Tasman Sea as we get out to about the 18th of November, and then that will spark a couple of days of potentially heavy rainfall through parts of New South Wales and in particularly the Gippsland region of Victoria. I do believe the GFS is kind of upplaying this rainfall here. I think it's going to be a lot lighter than what the GFS forecast model is saying, but we could definitely be talking about some half decent coastal accumulation somewhere in this area, and that will include Sydney as well. Falls between 50 to 100 millimetres, and I believe the third week of November sometime between the 17th out to the 24th. Now might be a time period to watch if you are interested in rainfall along the New South Wales or the Victorian coastline. Consider this your early warning heads up. I'll get to the low pressure system / tropical low / tropical cyclone offshore from Western Australia in just a second. I just want to touch on North Queensland and the Northern Territory. Easterly flow and convective pulse thunderstorms are now beginning to pipe up for both locations respectively. Easterly flow type rainfall is where we see rainfall across the top end of the northern Queensland, and that's just flows of easterly originating moisture coming into this part of Queensland, presenting some heavy rainfall accumulations for one or two spots, in particularly north of Cairns up into the Daintree rainforest and also through parts of the Cassowary coast as well, but that's not showing up here in this forecast modelling. More importantly, we've got some pretty significant rainfall accumulations now through parts of the top end of the Northern Territory, and then that carries over in towards the Kimberley region. Some of this will be tropical orientated. We may see a low pressure system bring some rainfall in from the west, but a lot of this is just pulse thunderstorms in the afternoon and the evening that originate over the top end of the Northern Territory and then track slowly towards the west or the northwest, and then eventually clip Darwin later on to the afternoon, the evening hours. We've seen some half decent rainfall accumulations. As with all thunderstorm events, it's pretty hit or miss whether or not you see thunderstorms, but if they do develop and they do end up going over your location, you may see 50 millimeters fall in a short period of time, and that's something that the northern parts of the Northern Territory now beginning to see. Again, very hit or miss on the rainfall side of things. Some places have picked up some pretty incredible rainfall accumulations in the past week, others have picked up nothing. Darwin has been kind of on that hit or miss type rainfall front. We've seen some half decent rainfall accumulations there, but so far nothing crazy has developed at this time. Now, low pressure system. The GFS has been very, very fond of a low pressure system developing somewhere south of Bali and then tracking in towards the Kimberley region of Western Australia. It is not likely to make it to the West Australian coastline as a fully fledged tropical low, and definitely not as a fully fledged tropical cyclone, but after the 15th of November, it's likely to spark a 2 or 3 day period of above average rainfall accumulations through much of the Kimberley region, and we could be seeing some half decent rainfall accumulations for the northern Kimberley coastline, including for Columbaroo, Truscott, and then down towards Badgingarra and Broome. We might be seeing some decent falls down there. Fitzroy Crossing, Halls Creek, Kununurra, all those locations might be seeing some half decent rainfall accumulations as well, particularly because we're going to be seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity on the outer bands of this low pressure system here. So whilst this low pressure system will bring its heaviest rainfall to the extreme northern parts of the Kimberley region, we're going to be seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity developing around it as well, and that will provide some more hit or miss rainfall accumulations. But we're really going to have to wait and see when this low pressure system begins to develop, what we're actually expecting from it. It's kind of just a cluster of thunderstorms right now in a very broad fashion located just to the south of Jakarta, and it's going to take a few more days before this system does properly develop. But as mentioned, no tropical cyclone or tropical low threat to the northwest coast of Western Australia, and nothing to be concerned about. We've also got some decent rainfall accumulations into parts of the northern goldfields and then into the south and the north interior, and we're expecting a lot of rainfall to funnel its way down into this part of Western Australia throughout the next couple of days. Now, this is very much considered the never never of Western Australia. There's nothing that happens out here. There's very few in the way of population, but we do have some pretty major roads, in particularly the Great Central Road here, or the Great Central Highway that moves between Laverton out to Giles, and it won't take much rainfall to cause some pretty significant problems. So if you are moving through Central Australia, anywhere kind of, I guess west of the line of Ayers Rock and the Olgas, down into parts of the extreme western parts of South Australia, excluding the Nullarbor because that's all sealed down there, and just in this area of Western Australia, just make sure you are monitoring the Roads Authority quite closely. We may be having some pretty heavy rainfall out in this part of WA sometime in the next week or so. Falls between 25 to 50 millimeters are a possibility. That's going to do it though for today's weather forecast update. I'm not considering live coverage on the Brisbane situation, but there will be plenty of coverage over on the Facebook page as well, so make sure you do go and check that out as well. And if very heavy rainfall does develop, I'll run a second update later today, but I don't think that is going to be a necessary feature either. That'll do it though, and if you have enjoyed this forecast update, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already as well. And a massive thank you to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. I cannot believe how big this list is getting, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every single day. That'll be all from me today. I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.